Good morning, Dion Johnson here, strategic partner, spiritual advisor, and executive power coach to women in senior leadership. So, this video is for you if you are a CEO, a director, a head, a strategic lead, a corporate expert, a specialist in your field, a woman who has something to say, who has something to contribute to the decision-making mechanism of your organization, to the system shaping in or the culture shaping or the leadership in your organization, your industry, in your field. I'm here for you. I am the author of this book, Influential Woman, a fresh approach to tackling inequality and leading change at work. And if you haven't got a copy of this book, honestly, if you're serious about leading change, if you're serious about making your difference, then I really want you to grab a copy of this book. So today, I want to talk to you about a phenomenon that I call the awakening. The awakening. And it's really I'm inspired to speak about this today because I've noticed over the last month in particular that I've been having these conversations with people who are using this same phraseology, this same terminology. And it is that I'm waking up to the realization that. So I've used it myself and I'm hearing other people say, I had a conversation with a client yesterday and she said exactly the same phrase. I'm waking up to the realization that. Now, what they say after the word that is obviously different. So some people are saying things like, I'm waking up to the realization that I'm at a crossroads, or I'm waking up to the realizations that I've fallen out of love with my work, or I've waken up to the realization that there's more for me to be. I'm waking up to the realization that something's off, something's missing, I'm ready for next. I'm waking up to a realization that there is more for me to be. Now, what these people are really saying, no matter what it is that they use after the word that, what they're really saying is, Dion, I was plodding along. I was doing my thing. I was going to work every day. I had my life set up like this. Like I was just doing it. I was going through the motions. I was on autopilot. I was doing the do. And then all of a sudden, I feel this shaking happening on the inside of me. I feel this waking up happening. I wonder when people are saying this, I'm starting to think, did you know that you were asleep? Because think about this, they're feeling the awakening to the life that they were living, to the work that they were, to the leadership, to their work, to their role. It's like we can get into this mundanity, we can get into this sort of like plodding along, putting one foot in front of the other, going through the motions, going to work, going home, going to bed, getting up, doing the same thing again tomorrow. And that can be a kind of sleep. That can be a kind of trance that we get into, this kind of unthinking autopilot. And what these women are saying to me is that that's being disturbed, that's being shaken. I'm waking up. I was asleep I was awake but asleep. I was alive but asleep. I was going through the motions, but I was asleep. And now I'm waking up. And, the reason that, I mean, I remember when I had a wake up call like years ago when I was a director for local government. I was a regional director of a national program. I was one of many directors in this national program. We were all working towards supporting vulnerable families and reducing inequality, closing inequality gaps, and making things better for these vulnerable families. Anyway, this program was really, it was a really important program. I really cared about it, but I realized that I'd fallen asleep when I begin to wake up. So I remember the day that I was sitting in the office. It was a open planned office, so everybody could see everybody. And I don't know what I was working on. I don't know what. I just know that I felt really heavy. I felt really gloomy. I felt like work wasn't really working. And then all of a sudden, it's like my eyes opened up and I looked around the office and I just saw other people who work wasn't working for them either. I saw other people just sort of like head down. No one was really talking. Everybody felt really grumpy. It just felt like like my eyes were all of a sudden awake to where I was. And I wondered, what am I doing here again? Like, what is this? Where am I going with this? What's this about? I remember that. I remember that once I woke up, it was really difficult to shut it down. And that's what I'm seeing with my clients. I'm seeing that they come because they're waking up to this new possibility for their lives. They might not even know what it is, but this new calling, this awakening to new possibility. And it doesn't go away. It doesn't shut it up. But I've seen us try to shut it up. And that's why I'm making this video, because I know that this awakening can be really daunting, or it can be really frightening, or just inconvenient. I remember one client told me that this feels like a rude intrusion. A rude intrusion, that she was just going about her business, and then all of a sudden this thing exploded in her, this hunger, this need for something more exploded, and it was quite inconvenient, because actually she thought her life was working quite well. She thought this was good. So here's the thing. I know it's challenging. I know that it can feel uncomfortable and even painful. I know that sometimes we don't know what to do about it or how to respond. I know that so many of us are making us actually sick, just trying to stuff that thing down and not allow it to wake up, and not try and make it disruptive, trying to hold on to what is, instead of trying to work out what could be. And it could be so uncomfortable, that I want to share with you today 3 ideas for you to be, if you are experiencing this awakening, 3 ideas for you to think about and journal around and explore for yourself. I really hope that these 3 ideas will just help you to navigate this crossroads that you find yourself at, or this awakening experience that you're having. I hope that these 3 ideas will help you to work out what's next for you and what you need to do. Okay. So the first thing that I want to share with you is that this is not happening randomly, that this is not a mistake, this is not a problem even. This is not happening out of order. Something's random, it's happening out of order, out of the blue. It's like it's no rhyme or reason to it. Well, I'm saying this is not that. This is not random. There is absolute purpose to this wakening up. There is absolute meaning to this rude awakening that you're experiencing. And I think it's because it's time for your leadership to enter into a shift season. It's time for your leadership. There's a new demand being made on your leadership, and it's really important for you to pay attention. I mean, I like to say that you have to be living at the bottom of the ocean somewhere, um, in a cave, to not realize that these are strange times for marketplace leadership, for governance, for senior leadership, for the world. These are strange times, and there is a shaking happening, there is a shifting happening, and there are. Like people describe it as volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Certainty is low right now, and I think that we are shifting into what we called, when after the pandemic, a new normal. It's a new day for us as business leaders. It's a new day for us as leaders, and more is required. More is required in our world. I mean, if you think about it, we're now we can't be oblivious to the people that are crying and dying and suffering, not only in our organizations, but in the society that our organization impacts. There's inequality, there's injustice, there is inequity, there's all the isms, right? There's illness and sickness and disease, physical disease, mental disease, heart disease, stress disease, all kinds of people are crying, people are dying, people are suffering. This is a leadership issue. More is required from leadership, and therefore more is required from leaders. That means more is required from you. I believe that this shaking is not random, that it's happening in tandem with the needs of the world that we serve in business, going up, so is the demand on our leadership. And I think that's what you're experiencing. I think you're experiencing a divine shaking, saying, hey, there's more for you to be at such a time as this. Which leads me to the second idea, actually, because the second idea is that this is not just an intrusion. This is an invitation for you to say yes. Say yes to your next level of growth, to your next level of evolution as a woman and a leader and a change maker. It's an invitation that you can say yes to or no to. You know, it's like some growth happens without you. Some growth happens without your consent. It just happens, right? I've got a 6-year-old granddaughter who is really fascinated by how much she's growing right now. She's really tall, like she's reaching me to my elbow, right? And she comes and she measures herself against me, and she's always like really amazed that when she's getting taller, because she's not doing anything to facilitate that. She's not part of that. She's not trying to make that happen. It's just happening on autopilot. And that's the same professionally. You know, there's some growth that just because you're in that space, just because you're on that board, just because you're in that industry, just the length of time that you're walking through day in, day out in that space, there's some automatic growth that's happening that you just can't help it. You just grow, whether you know it, yes or no, acknowledge it, yes or no, or like it, yes or no. There's some growing that happens on autopilot. But what I see in this time, these strange, intense, dynamic times in the marketplace and in the world, what I see is that there is a need for leaders to grow in a way that they need to participate with, in a way that they need to say yes to. It's not going to happen by autopilot. It's because it's going to challenge all that we've known of who we are and what leadership even is, what business even is. It's now changing. Business is being called to change, and so are we. Not just improve, but transform. Not just improve, but to mature and to evolve. And this now requires us to be active participants in. So the second point, the second idea that I want to leave you with today is that this is an invitation that you get to say yes or no to. You know, just recently I signed up for something online, and I got to the sales page, and there's a button that says, yes, please, I'm in. But underneath that button, there's another button that said, no, thank you. I want to go on in my life without this product, without this service. And they asked you to, yeah, you couldn't get off the page until you clicked one or the other. You see, you get to choose. And I think that's what this wake up call is asking you to do. You don't have to say yes. You don't have to go along. You don't have to engage, but it's an invitation to decide whether you want to get actively involved in your growth or not, whether you want to say yes to this new level of ascension in your personal leader identity and your leadership or not. You don't have to say yes to this. Which leads me to the third point, the third idea that I want to share with you. And that third idea is that there's work involved. There's work involved in this level of growth. This, like we said, is not going to be on autopilot, but this kind of growth is going to require you to do, it's very personal. Actually, this growth journey is very personal. This growth journey is going to challenge your assumptions, your beliefs, your rules that you live and lead by. It's going to challenge who you think you are. It's going to call you to do some scary things, speak up, share new ideas, share your own thoughts about and your professional points of view about what's happening in our world right now and what you think needs to happen to it. That's personally demanding, that's personally challenging, and there's a kind of growth that's going to happen only if you put the work in, only if you invest in your own development to use your voice more authentically, more powerfully, to show up more credibly, and to form and develop a unique a unique and powerful message for your organization, your industry, and your field. This is leadership on a whole other level, and it's going to take some work. So the question is, are you in? Are you in for this? I called the video "Don't Ignore This" because the wake-up call that you're experiencing, like I've seen how we can really be fighting to ignore it, and I don't want you to do that. I want you to decide whether you're up for this next level of development, this next level of growth is going to take your participation. It's not happening by accident. It's an invitation that you get to say yes or no to, but there's work involved, and you need to opt into that work. If you're ready to say yes, and I really hope you are, then there's three things that you need to be thinking about. One is you need to be setting that intention. I like to say, set your intention ceremoniously. Write yourself a note. Today, I realize that I'm being called higher, I'm being called to more, I'm being called to grow, I'm being called to evolve, and I'm saying yes. I want to see who I'm yet to become. I am making I'm setting the intention that I will grow, I will evolve, I will develop. I'll be intentional about my growth and development right now. Be ceremonious about that. Share it in your journal, share it with your colleagues, share it with your family. I like to encourage my clients to develop ceremony around your intention to find out who she is, that next level of you, and decide that you will experience her. So set your intention ceremoniously. The second thing I want you to do is create steadfast commitment. See, I don't know how long this leg of your journey is going to take, but it's going to take some staying power. It's going to take some commitment to really do the work, right? The work that we've been talking about. The work is unique to you, and I don't know what it's going to look like for you, and I don't know how long it's going to take for you. I'll tell you stories later on in another video about the kind of work that I'm going through and the work that I'm seeing my clients go through. But this leg of the journey takes commitment. It takes staying power. It takes you being in it for the long haul. And there's stuff to do, right? There's real work to do, and it's not always easy. It's not always it's simple, but it's not always easy. And so the commitment is the second thing. The third thing that I want you to do is I want you to begin to think about your support needs, who you can enroll in your development journey, who you can enroll in supporting you to do this deeper inquiry as to what it is that actually you're being called to, who it is that you're becoming, what it is that you need to be and become in order to do the work that you are here to do at this higher level. This is all really deep, personal, and intense in many ways work that requires help. We can do it on our own only to a certain degree. We need support. So who do you need to support you? Now, that leads me to me, because this is the work of my life. My work is around supporting you to answer this call, answer this wake-up call to your whole new level of powerful expression in leadership. And so if you want to talk to me, then there's a link that accompanies this video that will get you to my diary. Book some time in, let's talk. I promise no sleazy sales tactics, just a straightforward woman to woman, behind the mask coaching conversation to help you find what you're waking up to, what it is that you being called to, who it is that you're being called to be next. If that sounds good, I can't wait to speak with you. My name's Dion, and yeah, let me know how this is landing. Let me share this video to somebody who needs to hear it. The long and the short of it is, I don't want you to ignore this wake-up call. It's really important. It's taking you somewhere. It's inviting you somewhere, and that somewhere is not just powerful for you, it's powerful for our world, because we need you there. See you later.